Hey, we're talking about the Shmita year. I'm Nama Ru,
I'm Rabbi David Ru.
and we're learning the prohibitions, the rabbinic prohibitions that apply to Jews living in the Holy Land during the 7th year of the 7-year cycle, when the land is officially ownerless and is resting.
Yes. So the next Mishnah in Shvis, Perek Beis Mishnah Gimel, has 3 malachos in it.
When you say the next one, this is like the 7th of this list, right?
It's the 7th of the Toldos, but I said at the beginning of the last lesson that we were reading the first 6 of them were found in the second Mishnah of the second Perek of Shvis.
Okay.
In the third Mishnah of the second Perek of Shvis, it lists 4.
So that's where we are now.
That's where we are now.
Okay.
So the Mishnah says, Misalkin ad Rosh Hashanah. You can do Sikul until Rosh Hashanah. Again, each one of these will define more carefully. Mekarsamine, Mizadrin, Mefasslin ad Rosh Hashanah. And these 3 things we can also do until Rosh Hashanah. So what are these things? Misalkin, what does that mean? So there's another Mishnah in Shvis later on that describes this. In the third parak, the 7th Mishnah. Avanim sheza'zatan hamachrisha. Stones that knock around the plow, or שהיו מכוסות ונתגלו, or they were covered up and they were now exposed. אם יש בהם 2 של מסאוי, 2, הרי אלו ינטלו המסקל שדהו, נוטל את העליונות, ומניח את נוגוס בארץ. So if they're stacked on top of each other, I can take the ones on top, but not the ones that touch the ground. V'ken gargil shel truros or gal shel avonim, notel es elyonos umeniach es nogos ba'aretz. So too, if I have a pile of stones, I can take the ones on top, but not the ones that are touching the ground. Im yesh tatechem sela, if there's a stone, meaning this is, I'm down to the bedrock, and so what's exposed under the stones they're standing on top, like a rock quarry, is stone, or kash, or a bed of straw. These you're allowed to take. So that's what the Mishnah says. In Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach talks about this, and talks about a garden, which is the most common thing. Meaning, in general today, our plows go so deep and they go the same depth all the time, that by the time fields are used, we've generally taken out all the stones long before Shmita that the plow might conceivably turn up in some way, or that as you're walking through the field might be a bother. But in terms of our gardens, all sorts of things happens. Sikul begina hasmucha labais, Esav Yerushalmi, concerning removing stones from the garden that's next to your house. It is in the Yerushalmi. Dim haisa behemto sham, or shahaisa kiraso sham, mutter l'kota eitzim, hagasim, v'lotes lebehema, or lekira, v'lo mechazik misakel. If I have an animal in my courtyard, or I have a stove there, I'm allowed to take large pieces of wood to put in my stove, or things to feed to the animal, and it doesn't look like I'm clearing the ground because it's my courtyard, and everyone understands I'm doing it for this. The animal or the stove proves it. Mistapakna de evshar she'af begina katana asmucha labais muter l'sakel minu eitzim gavanim, and I am unsure whether in your small garden next to your house, whether you can take out branches that have fallen or small stones that are there and so on. Mishum dekamo shebehemto shama gorem esahater. If it's because it's similar to your animal being there, people don't think you're preparing a field; they think you're making your garden look good. Hachinami kevan shu semucha labais kule alma yedei shederach kol adam linkos es kol asamuch lebeso mishum nikiyusu. Everyone understands that people clean up near their houses because they want it to look nice. Ltzorech zriya, even though you're not planning on seeding anything there. V'kol ki hai have shapir hecha hakira v'tzorech. And anything like this, it would seem it's recognizable that you're not doing it to make things grow there or plant there. V'tzorech, he says it needs more examination. However, in Sefer Shmita from Yevichil Michal Kaczynski, he wrote, Ulam l'tate ginaso shebachatzero, to sweep your garden, clean it up. It appears that it's mutter. לצורך ניקיון חצרו ולא להטבת הקרקע. You're doing this to clean your courtyard and not to make your garden grow better.
So like weeding is similar.
Weeding is slightly different because it's actually attached to the ground. It's a plant growing in the ground, and we have separate things that deal with weeding that we'll discuss more as we get to them.
Okay, I'm trying to get it straight here.
So the minhag is to follow Sefer Shmita, that people do clean up things in their gardens. Mikar-samim, there's a little debate here as to what this is as well. Rashi says, Hainu zimor, this is pruning. Elashi kirsum shayach bilanos. But kirsum is all other trees, meaning in Chumash we talk about pruning a vineyard. That's the Torah law. And here we have pruning any fruit-bearing tree, or perhaps any tree that I use to produce anything. Producing wood, by the way, could be an issue as well, because it's a crop. According to the Rambam is very clear that trimming all trees is a Torah prohibition. So the Rambam in the Pirush Mishnayos in Shabbos says Mekarsaman. What does this mean? Kores heirakos v'chotech mehama shenabeit al pnei haaretz. You're cutting the green stuff that's spreading over the ground, reducing it in some way, but it's something that's very close to the ground that you're getting rid of. Often you see it near stumps of trees that it starts putting other shoots up. And generally you don't want them growing there because it's going to, compete
growing
with your primary tree and you're not going to get as much as what you want. So the Rambam says cutting those things out is a prohibition in Shmita. So the next one, the 9th in our list, Mizardin, the Rash and the Bartanero say almost the exact same language, and that is Mizardin. When the tree has too many wet leaves, you cut some of them out. There is another malacha that's very similar, that's karsum, and that is cutting out dry leaves from the previous year, so that the last year's leaves don't draw from the energy of the tree. There are too many leaves right now, and therefore I remove some of them, some of the fresh, beautiful looking leaves. You would obviously not do this in a shade tree, and also sometimes you want the sun to shine on the fruit as it ripens better, these types of things. Mefaslin, the 10th in our list, and the last one for today. The Ovadia Mibartanero says, Mefaslin, Shenotel asat psolas, you're taking away what's no good. V'yesh mefarshim mifrashtim lasat pasalacha, this is to carve for yourself. Jachotim kol anafim shebe'ilan k'dei sheyita'avei. You're cutting branches of a tree so that the main trunk of the tree will be thicker and grow stronger. And the Rash gives an almost identical pshat. And so doing something so that the trunk of the tree is stronger. You might want to do this for one of several reasons. First of all, if you have something like a cherry tree, that cherry wood is very valuable after the tree is no longer producing well, but the larger the piece of wood you get out of it, the better it is. So I want to trim the tree in such a way that I'm going to have a very large trunk at the end. Or that I'm in a windy place, and if the trunk isn't large and strong, then the tree is more likely to be blown down. So I want to do something that will thicken this trunk so that it will survive these conditions. These are the first 10. So I would say we're about a quarter of the way through at this point with 2 lessons of all of the rabbinic prohibitions. Yes?
Okay, thanks. I just was saying, so you have to leave the trees alone. You can't trim them for any purpose that would cause a benefit. It's only for like a construction type of cleanup type of thing that you could really clean a garden or trim a tree.
If a branch were blocking a walkway, for instance, I could cut it out because it's clear for everyone who's looking at it. I'm doing this so they can walk there, not that I want to make the tree grow better or something like that.
All right. Thank you. So what did you say next time is?
We're going to continue on with our list. We're about a quarter of the way through the whole thing.
Of the rabbinic prohibitions.
The rabbinic prohibitions on Shmita.